Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Seneca County Commissioner meeting. It's Thursday, December 13th, 10 a.m. It's our regular board session, and we will start the meeting with the call to pledge allegiance. We'll do that first.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now call to order. I did that, yeah. Prayer. Thank you.
Sure.
Commissioner, I'm sorry.
All right, please join me in a short prayer here. Heavenly Father, what a glorious time of the year, the most wonderful time of the year, if you will. We ask for your guidance as we make decisions that affect the people that we represent. We ask in a special way, as always, for you to protect those who are protecting our freedoms and their families. We ask all this through your Son. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call.
Commissioner Kirchner,
I am here.
Commissioner Schuff,
Here.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Here. Okay, so now I'll accept the motion to approve the digital audio recordings of our prior meeting that was held on Thursday, December 1st, our regular board session.
So moved.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Did you get that, Bob?
Yep.
Okay.
Commissioner Kirchner,
Yes.
Commissioner Schuff,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso.
Yes. Thank you. So welcome Barb, filling in for Jamie, who's off sick today, the county administrator. She did not sound very well on the phone, so Barb's setting in. Thank you. We have a few guests today, and April, we'll call on you first. Thanks for coming. You're with Old Fort Schools. Please come up to introduce yourself, and yeah, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Thank you. And the floor is yours.
Okay.
Okay?
Good morning, everybody. Again, my name's April Hall. I'm a parent, I'm a Seneca County resident, and an Old Fort School Board member. As many of you know, there was recently an issue over at the school. Our school and sheriff's department acted accordingly and did a great job of diffusing the situation that had happened there. However, there's always room for improvement. One way we've been trying to accomplish this is by working with the sheriff's office to create a position for the sheriff to be on site, what we would call an SRO, a school resource officer. Some of the local schools have that in different capacities with someone that's there. Our goal would be to make this position similar to what the village of Bettsville has. I know that you guys are obviously familiar with that, where the village pays for the sheriff to be there, but the sheriff is employed through the sheriff's department. And we're asking for that. We're not asking for you guys to come up with any money to pay for this, but we're just asking for you to help supply us with a body. I understand that, in today's times it's hard to find people to fill those positions, but we're just asking for some help. Our teachers are tired, they're frustrated, and just looking for some guidance. So even if you can't help us to fill that, we're asking for maybe some guidance from our sheriff's department or from you guys to help us with that resource. If you can't, we just ask that you be upfront so that we can move on to other options and protect our students even more. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Do they have any comments at this time?
Well,
Yeah.
as I'm sure you're aware, we are going to meet separately later today with the sheriff. I think the biggest problem with many things, in this case in particular, is communication. We want to get everybody in the room that is a decision maker. So we will have the sheriff here. We will have a couple of school superintendents and the three commissioners. It will not be a decision-making meeting. It will be for information only, so that we can hear from the folks that are involved with this. But I take this very seriously, and the fact that the school is willing to fund this effort, and the fact that there's a real concern from the students tells me that we need to take some action and take this quickly as we can. So I will do, as an individual commissioner, anything that I can do to make sure this moves forward quickly.
Yeah. And like I said, if you guys just feel that it's not going to be feasible, or it may not be something you can put in place for 6 months down the road, that gives us time to go to maybe option B so that we can fill that in the meantime and
So
maybe start
you're-
next year.
Your
fresh.
superintendent's doing a good job, so you're one of her board members, so I know the board's calling her. And I think I agree with Commissioner Kirschner, we're having a meeting today with the sheriff. Then we're in part two of training and obtaining and all those kind of things, so we'll get back to you, okay, through your superintendent.
That's fine.
And then we'll just take it from there.
You got our attention.
Yeah. Yeah,
Unfortunately.
thanks for coming, though. This is really, I live in the Old Fort School District, and it's just,
And it's,
I'm glad we have people that care, really.
And it's unfortunate that this had to happen, but it could potentially, happen again, and we don't want that. And I know that our teachers are scared, and we don't want them to feel unsafe in an environment. So any kind of help.
With you?
Yeah, it's a scary wake-up call. We don't want to put any of the kids or the faculty or staff in danger. I know when I was with Tiffin, we had a safety resource officer that we put in the city schools, and it's hard to quantify the number of situations that they potentially extinguished with just having their presence there. It's hard to measure, but yeah, we definitely don't want to put people in danger. But appreciate you guys coming to us, and if the sheriff's okay with it, or if we can find that body, I mean, I'm comfortable putting it under that umbrella, but we got some logistics to figure out, but I like where you're coming from.
So, April, before you leave, Sheriff, we just had a little introduction. April House on the school board, Old Fort. We mentioned that we're going to meet afterwards with the superintendents, have a discussion. I know you've been thinking about it, and so we will report back through the superintendents, I think, right? Is that how you want to do it? And so you'll be hearing from her, so.
Sounds good.
Okay?
All right.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. Did you want to add anything, or are you okay?
No, we can
Right,
talk
yeah.
afterwards. I'm all for it as well. It just comes down to like the last part I heard of Commissioner Schuff is the logistics of the manpower. We're 3 short right now, and we got a retirement at the end of the year.
Expectations to get
So, it takes 3 months to train them, and so the backfilling, and so, yeah, it just comes down to logistics.
Okay.
It's not just
We'll talk
Oakville,
about that.
because Hopewell's asking, New Regal, and Seneca East. and-
Well, I appreciate you
yeah.
taking it on. It's an extra
Not a problem.
thing, but again, we'll work with you.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so Julie Atkins is here. Do you want to go next? We have on the agenda dog tags, and I don't know if I'll look to you, Barb. You want to tee this one up? And
It's just kind of a question of the,
Okay.
the ORC states that the auditor is entitled to 15% of the anticipated revenue for dog tags. And we've had a conversation with Julie and about her budget, and she did bring it back in line with the 15%, but I believe she's here to request a little bit more money from general fund or dog warden fund. So I'll turn it over to Julie.
Okay, we'll do it that way? Good.
So,
Our
just to
county
back,
auditor, welcome.
well, thank you. So just to background what Barb commented, a prosecutor's opinion was requested concerning the funding out of dog and kennel fund to the auditor. And it does say 15%, but historically or previously, it was on the balance. And the prosecutor clarified that to say that it's actual revenue. So, based on the prosecutor's opinion and discussions with Jamie, she requested that I submit the 2023 budget as of the 15% of the actual revenue, which the estimated revenue at the time of the budget projection was $164,750. So 15% of that is $24,472.50. The breakdown that I submitted in the budget was a salary of $11,500 plus Medicare and OPERS for a total of $13,276.75. No hospitalization or other HSA or anything else like that was taken out. Supplies then was the other line that was populated, and that was $8,795. And the supply line includes the cost of tags, the cost of paper to print them on, the cost of envelopes for the mailing, the cost of postage. Our initial postage mailing which we just sent out to the taxpayers the 1st of December, was almost $3,500. Now, the kicker is, that can go at straight, what is it, 56 cents a piece, I think, for mailing. The cost to return a tag to a dog owner is 96 cents because it is the hard
You have
tag.
two mailings, one out with a reminder and then one out with
Yeah,
tag. Okay.
so because it is the hard tag going back to the taxpayer, it is considered non-machinable by the post office, so that's why we have to pay the additional fee. And like I said, that's 96 cents. So, and that was increased, I believe in the summer of '22 is when the post office increased rates. So we don't know the full impact of that postage being in the supply line really until we get through this year with the increase. So, and then also the software cost of $2,400, which is a very inexpensive tool for the dog wardens use, the dog owners use, and then the office use for processing of tags. So, keeping in line with what the prosecutor opinion was, of funding of 15% of actual revenue from the Dog and Kennel Fund, I'm asking for an additional $22,000 out of general fund. Additional funding of almost $2,500 in supplies, but keeping in mind, we don't know if that'll be enough to cover postage. Because more and more people are using the online tool to license their dog, and that means then the postage increase, that higher cost going back to them. And then the $19,522 and change is in the salary line.
Okay, so help me out here a little bit. Your first three lines, the 13,276.75, the supplies, the software, that equals approximately the 15%, or the 15% of revenue.
And
Right.
include, did you say the $8,795 for supplies?
Yeah, so if I take 13,276, Commissioner Kirschner's the mathematician, I don't have a calculator. The 87.95 and 2,400, I'm pretty close to 24,000.
Yep.
You're
20
15%, right?
Yep, $24,472.50,
Okay.
which ties back to
so
the 15% of revenue.
Where does the 22,000 come from?
It's got to come out of general fund because that, the only other fund, let's say this is the front office that does this service for the county, the majority of those folks are paid out of real estate assessment fund. That's a restricted fund that this cannot be used for. This service cannot be used for.
Okay, so this 24,000 that you just described, I'm going back to that, you're saying it's not enough to handle the,
Correct.
yeah.
To handle the duties.
Is this seasonal, like the treasurer's office with property tax?
So-
Do you have a peak where this happens and then?
So to give you a timeline, the middle of November, we start extracting the files for 2023. And then we put that, we have to hand fold it now since we don't, or hand stuff it since we no longer have a county folding machine in the basement. So we start that process and they have to be ready for the taxpayer or the dog owner to purchase December 1st, because that's when the opening period starts. And then by January 31st is considered the end of registration or you get penalty. So that's the hit piece. However, we're constantly through the year processing tags. It's a yearly thing, but those are our primary hits.
It'd be nice if we could send out the tags at the same time as the taxes, so in the same package.
We have a lot of dog owners that don't own real estate though, so.
How many tags are out there, just for the,
Sure.
I think,
So just to give you some idea on timeline, the 2023 dog mailing, we mailed almost 6,000 pieces of mail, which comes back to 8,953 licensed regular dog tags, we'll call them, or 3-year dog tags in that. We also have dog owners who, want to make their dog family, and so they get a permanent tag, and that has grown over the years to 71. And then we do have kennel tags, where people are buying, selling, breeding dogs, and that has been 137 tags with basically 16 kennel operations.
So let's get down to the numbers. How much do those dog tags generate in income?
Generate an income, bear with me.
Which you gave me, I left in my desk. But I'm okay. Yeah.
So the estimated income for '23 is 164,750.
How much?
164,750. And previously, 21, it was like 161. So it trends around that. But I do want to point out that the number of tags issued, I mean, if I look back to 2013 and 12, we were in 11,000 tags issued. So,
So I'm having a difficult time from a math standpoint to understand this. We're saying that we have $46,000 in expenses. The 24 plus the 22, the one additional.
I think so, yeah.
And we're generating income of $164,000. Why doesn't that work? I mean, I'd like to hear from the dog warden here. What are your responsibilities as it relates to issuing dog tags? And could you handle more responsibility doing that?
Well, currently we don't get to issue any of the dog license, so when we sell a dog license, we pay it into the auditor's office, and then instead of giving the person the tag, like right now, we're paying it in for the auditor's office to mail it out. So we can sell dog licenses for boarding, impound, and adoptions only at our office.
So does the sale of dog tags also fund
The sale
your
of dog
office?
tags is the dog and kennel fund.
Okay, and that's what you use to operate your office with?
Yes.
So if we generate $164,000 in tags and it's $46,000 in cost, we have about $120,000 left, and what's your budget?
My budget this year, I'm not sure. But last year, I can tell you, revenue and expenses, our revenue was 161,000. Our expenses was 179,000. It was about 2018 that the auditor's office began to take more and more of the dog and kennel fund. So each year it's increased by a couple percentages.
So help me out on this to interject if I can. So we often say sitting here that the dog warden operates without taxpayer money. You say that, right?
Yes.
Okay, so your revenue is based on licenses and tags.
License sales, adoptions, impound, boarding, and then we also have revenue from our citations.
And citations, okay.
Yes.
So what the auditor does, so from the component that makes up the tags is 164,000. If they keep 15% or a number, you get the rest.
Yeah, the rest goes into the
Okay.
dog and kennel fund.
So that helps. So,
Well, at least, I mean,
Yeah, I never.
unless I'm absolutely totally confused here, we have $164,000 in income from dog tags. You have $179,000 in expenses at your office for
That's
running
total
the dog
expenses,
warden.
including Julie's.
So that difference is $15,000. In addition to the $15,000, we then have an expense, the auditor is telling you $46,000.
No, that 46 is in that $179,000 expense for the year. That includes both Kelly's portion and the auditor's portion.
Okay, so we're $15,000 shy then?
Yes,
Okay.
rounded.
rounded, yes.
So I guess what's happening is, in the past, well, let's go to last year. So last year, the auditor was able in your budget, Julie, to keep close to $50,000 to handle the administration of the license fees, right? And so now we have a legal opinion that says by statute, you're allowed to keep 15% of the fees, and then we're short $22,000. And Julie's asking that we use general fund money to cover that gap.
Well, I say either that or how much more can the
Or-
dog warden
Just-
absorb of the work?
I think, right? No.
Just to clarify,
Yeah,
by
that's what I'm trying to
statute,
get.
this is my responsibility. It's very clear that the auditor has this role.
Okay, so this is not.
I
this is-
deputize Kelly every year, in fact, so that she can do some of them at her office.
But this is like the treasurer's discussion when we had the land bank, you know, so, you know, Paul wanted more money to administer the land bank, and, you know, we had this debate. I think that's kind of where this is headed. Okay, so, back to you.
Okay, it appears to me, unless these numbers or this graph is not correct, that the preponderance or the majority of counties are paying 15% to the auditor. That's the number that the auditor's getting, 15% of the revenue. I mean, it looks like 3/4 of the counties surrounding us. That's what they're getting. There's some exceptions to that. Some get less. And some, I mean, I know you said according to statute you have to run it, but according to this, Erie County doesn't get anything, so I don't know what they do.
Erie County's dog warden issues all of her dog licenses.
Say it again?
Erie County's dog warden issues all of her dog licenses.
Okay, so when we say that it's your responsibility according to statute, does that mean that it's your responsibility to issue all dog licenses? But by statute, can you transfer that responsibility to the dog warden?
I believe that's what some counties have done.
Okay, so you can transfer that responsibility to the dog warden. Can you handle it?
Yes.
Okay? And would you need any additional money to handle it?
No. I may need an additional employee, but not additional money.
Okay?
That did make sense to me.
No, because you're taking from
You
one
would have to have some
established.
money.
Right, then I guess I would need some money to add additional staff.
When
But
you say-
we could use that staff member throughout the year to where currently we're paying a staff's wages up at the auditor's office and they work on dog license. I'm not sure what we're paying in that salary line, but we could employ someone part-time for December, January, and then also use them in the summer for door license checks. Currently, we're just paying people out of the dog and kennel fund. They're issuing the dog license. We don't see any of that supplies. We don't see any work from that employee.
Okay, so, any comments from you?
Do other counties pay to subsidize this?
I would have
Out of the
to-
general fund?
I would have, we have some information, so I think what we have is, in Sackett County, our auditor handles everything, okay? In Erie County, the dog warden handles everything. And there's a lot of counties that the auditor handles it at 15% of revenue, and then there's some other exceptions to it. I don't know what all those are. And is there a way, so our decision is, you know, or I guess, or is there a hybrid way of you do more than you do under her oversight? I don't know that. So, we meet again on the 27th. How can we get a resolution of this between now and then? With any recommendations here? We need to make a decision, but I'm not sure we have enough information. Any thoughts?
Should we reach out to some of the other counties and kind of see what makes sense for us?
You referenced information. I don't have that information, so I don't know what you're looking at.
Just walk down, yeah.
If that could be provided to me.
Yeah, how would you suggest we go about it, Mr. 8-year veteran commissioner here.
Well,
think we
I mean,
should,
it was just brought to our attention that in most counties, 15% of the dog tags went to the auditor, and in most counties, much of the issuing of tags is done by the dog warden. It appears here that most of the issuing of tags is done directly at the auditor's office. So, I don't know, I mean, if it's a $15,000 gap, it costs us $179, and taking in $164, then maybe we ought to increase dog license fees to get to the $179. Or, if the dog warden is able to do it less expensively than is the auditor, then we ought to allow the dog warden to issue as many licenses as they can at a less expensive cost. I guess that's as logical as I can be.
comments.
Well, I think maybe the question wasn't asked. I don't know who requested that. Did you gather this information, Kelly, or did you, Barb?
I did not.
Turn the paper around and I can tell you if that's mine. While you're looking at with the other counties. Yeah, that's mine.
Okay.
I requested that information from other counties.
Okay. I have not seen that, but I think the
We'll
point to
email it.
remember is when the other counties only get funded by the 15%, which is statutorily, their general fund is making that up, and I don't believe
don't
you
know
asked that
that.
question.
I didn't ask that question, but I know that they're only paying 15%. They're not paying
Let's find
any
that
more
out,
out of their
Barb.
dog and
Okay.
kennel fund
Okay.
for the
Be-
15%.
Because, for instance, Dark County, similar sized, we're at 56,000 population, they're at 53. They get 849,900 for their general fund budget. We are actually one of the lowest in this survey that was prepared in the auditor's organization. Monroe County at 15,000 population, they're getting over 294,000. And my budget this year was, sorry, got too many papers here. 386,000. And we're what, almost 4 times larger than them. So the numbers
But, I mean, I
tell
can't-
me that the general fund is supplementing the dog and kennel expense or the expense of the dog operation.
So I can't let that go just on challenge. It depends on what responsibilities the auditor has in each county as it relates to this, as opposed to just saying, well, one gets this and one gets that. Because some people may do more, and some people may be less involved. That would obviously dictate the amount of money that is being funded from the general fund. So just to take a random look at this person gets X dollars and this person gets X dollars based on population, doesn't tell the story. The story is, well, how much work are they doing and how much responsibility do they have? I have no idea.
I would say statutorily, we're all doing the same thing with the exception of the dog issuance that maybe years ago they directed to the dog warden or the Humane Society to fill that function.
So here's what I'd like to do, make a proposal to my fellow commissioners, okay, that we take Kelly, the dog warden's information, Julie, her information, we have Jamie and Barb sort through it as a third party, they represent the commissioners. We will make a final decision on the 27th at our next meeting, and in the meantime, expect some dialogue, okay, as we put this together, and we have to come up with an answer. So we see all 3 sides, right? There's 2 sides and the third side. Is that okay with you? So Barb, you and Jamie will get all this information and put it together so it's apples to apples. And we'll look at it, get it to us before the meeting, and we'll take action on the 27th. Are you good, Julie, with that?
2 other points.
Okay.
So in the initial dog budget, before I was requested by Jamie based off of the prosecutor's opinion to adjust the budget, we had put in for an equipment line of $400 and also the copier of $450. The equipment line, the request was for a folder in our office to fold the applications. so we don't have to manually do that, and that was to be divided. It's a $1,200 machine, with general fund picking up 400, real estate picking up 400, and I was gonna dedicate 400 to the dog and kennel fund. But that, I couldn't do it based off of the rolled back budget amount, and the lease is the copier, again, divided between the three funds, general fund, real estate, and
Was that
dog
there
and kennel.
last year? Did we have it last year? You know?
That was on the machine.
Yeah. Is that a Jamie question or something you want to talk about? Okay.
So, and also, while we're talking budgets, right, the happy topic, I need clarification on the health insurance fund. That was one thing that I put in the original budget request as Fund 1099, which is the health insurance fund. Previously funded my clerk's salary for administering those things. We've been in communication with Jamie for her role in doing some of the administration of the insurance. But, I mean, we will still have a role. I need to know if those funds are still earmarked for my office or if they need to be replaced via general funds.
Is that?
I need
20,000?
clarification,
Around
yes.
20,000?
The 20,933.
What's the status of that?
I was not part of that conversation.
That's a Jamie question.
That is gonna have to, I will defer to Jamie on that. Her and I can have a
We talked
discussion
about
on
it,
that.
but I'm gonna have to put you off. So you have three things. You have the dog warden discussion, your supply request, and what are we calling this? Tasha's.
Health insurance
Okay.
funding for an employee.
We will, Jamie's not here, I'm sorry, so we'll get you an answer 27th. Can you wait that long?
Yeah, I mean, just to sum it up, I guess the ask for the consideration in the budget is less than 43,000
Combined, all
Yes.
that?
with those three things.
Were your people happy with the premium pay? Give us some good.
It was so appreciated, yes, yes. There was some hiccups on a couple of things. We went to the prosecutor for guidance to make sure that people entitled to it received it. And Tasha and Barb worked very closely on that. And also a shout out to Cheyenne, my payroll clerk, that was able to accomplish that in a very, very short manner of time.
Okay, anything else, commissioners? Thanks for coming
Okay,
in.
thank you.
Thank you. We, Kelly, anything from you before we move on to this topic? Okay. Commissioner report.
Tyler, go ahead.
Yeah, good half of last week, we were at the County Commissioners Association of Ohio meeting down in Columbus. Got to sit through quite a few seminars. It's kind of like a continuing ed for us, but get to see what some of the other counties are facing, things to do, not to do, but it's a good networking event and took a lot from that, so always enjoy going down to those types of things. Side meeting here today at noon, going over some things with that here with our committee, but other than that, that's about all I got.
Okay, well, since the last meeting, we had the Christmas lighting ceremony last Friday, I think it was, at downtown. Great turnout.
The lights worked.
Number of people, the lights worked. John
Wasn't there?
Alex made sure of that. We had lots of pictures being taken and lots of activity down there. That was a great thing. You had the Schmitz German truck down there selling bratwurst and whatever kind of other sausage you might want. Had a number of conversations with Senator Reineke about a number of topics. They are in session right now, or they're not in session, they're in committee meetings, going over a number of issues, talking about their budget and talking about significant issues at the state level. So we're kind of keeping current on that, and that's pretty much of the week there.
Just when we were in Columbus, the governor was there, and I went out, we had the opportunity to talk to him, and I said, Commissioner Kirschner says hello. You should have seen the smile on his face.
Yeah, I bet.
Seriously. It was great. It was a big smile. So he was thinking of a joke, but his wife was standing there with him, so. Anything else? Seriously, that's a true story, by the way. Commissioner-elect Frankert's in the back. Great conference, right?
Yes, it was.
And you were in everything, and Bill was coming out all excited, and I think it was good for you, don't you?
Definitely, yes. Yeah, it was a great
Yeah.
conference, and, yeah.
Talked to a lot of new commissioners and events, so it was well attended. Just a couple of things that I'd like to bring up for the public to be aware of. First is, in our new business, we will be taking action to approve a couple resolutions that support the annexation agreement in Fostoria between Jackson and Loudon Townships. There are two resolutions. I wasn't aware of this. It's the exact same language, but there's two agreements. Unlike Tiffin, where Hopewell, Eden, and Clinton Township are all part of one agreement, there's actually two over there. I have a timeline so the public is aware of that. There was a special hearing. Ally from the prosecutor's office was there last Wednesday to move to extend the expired agreement. No opposition there. We are going to take action today at 10 in this meeting. Don't anticipate any problems. It will then go to Fostoria for tonight. They have a special meeting. It'll go to Jackson Township, or Loudon Township on the 14th for their meeting, and it'll go to Jackson Township on the 16th for a special meeting. So we should have this extension in place, and we all want to, all entities are going to extra steps to get this accomplished, because we want our county and the city of Fostoria wants to be friendly to business. This slipped through the cracks. It's causing hardships for Ohio Logistics, and then they will come back to us, Commissioner, by the 27th for a new application to submit under the expedited process for annexation. Of course, at that time, the agreements will be in place. So kudos to everybody for all their hard work, but that's on the agenda today. I just wanted to bring everybody up to date. Also, the EMS district, Julie, you're helping them. They had a meeting last Wednesday. This is the joint EMS district made up of the 16 entities that have come together. I attended the meeting. It was there's just a lot of work to be done. I thought it was a great meeting. For example, New Riggle has volunteers, and Bloomville, Attica, Republic area has volunteers. So they standardized the pay, they standardized the coordinator's pay. They opened up a checking account. What Julie needs is a budget. They've sent us a draft budget. So we will be working, when Jamie gets back, Barb, next week up to next Thursday, to try to come up with well, it's their budget, then we already have ours, but we need to get agreement on the contracts and the flow of money. It's going real well, Julie, by the way. So a lot of hard work there. Mike's our interim director out there. He's just doing a great job. Slowly, things are getting put together. And the nice thing about this is I believe the expectations of all parties were in alignment. This is January 1, the switch isn't going to come on and everything's going to be perfect. This is going to take a little bit of time. We closed on the land out on Route 224 that we've been talking about for a while. We were able to close that. You'll start to see some discussion with how we're going to proceed with the construction of the building. We have an architect, we have renderings established, so we'll be dusting that off. So a lot of good things happening there. And then finally, not to toot the commissioners' hats, but I'm going to for a second. We feel very strongly about our people, and we understand in this county and around the country that this has been a tough year. Inflation, it's just been a terrible year. So we were pleased to be able to approve a 5% pay increase next year, which but we also approved a $1,000 one-time premium pay that went out to 345 people. Julie alluded to it, Barb, I know everybody worked hard, but I can't I received a lot of thank yous. I'm sure you guys did too. Because I saw you copying on some emails. I had voicemails from people that work for us in the county. It just feels good to be able to do this. This is ARP money that we received. It's a one-time payment, and I'm glad we were able to do that. So, any other comments before we move on? You good? All right, Commissioner, the County Administrator report. Barb.
The only thing that I have are revenue expense numbers through November. The general fund took in $1.6 million, almost $1.7 million in revenue in the month of November. So that gets us to $19.6 for year-to-date revenue that was collected. The sales tax that was collected in November was $932,000, which is up $20,000 from a year ago, November. So we have exceeded that 19.2 certification of revenue for the 2022 year already this year, with the month of December still to come in yet. Expenses, again, this is for November. We expended $1.5 million in the month of November. So we are on track to have our budget is not being blown out of the water or anything, so.
Good.
Are we, on 27th, going to talk about maybe moving some money into the budget stabilization
Yes, I
fund?
believe that was on a list of things that Jamie and I were discussing. We wanted to get that done before the end of the year.
Be a nice tribute to this guy.
Yeah.
Who came up with the idea. And so that'll be on the 27th.
Yep.
Anything else?
At this point, no.
You ready for new business?
I guess.
Do we have any old business? You good, Commissioner? Okay, new business.
There are a number of supplemental appropriations on the new business. I have $50,000 for contract service to general fund. I have $37,000 for equipment out of the ARP money. I believe that is for the sheriff's radios. And then we have $190 for PERS for the STEP program, which is Fund 1208. It's just to clean up for the end of the year. And then the BGA grant, Fund 1415, they are reducing their contract service line by $30,559.29. As it was over appropriated, so they asked for money that they didn't really have. The Child Support Enforcement Fund of 2019, they're asking for salaries of $25,000, contract service of $55,000, hospitalization of $15,000, and their PERS of $14,000. Again, I believe those are all year-end cleanup type numbers. The Public Assistance Fund of 2030 for their OPERS, again, $80,000. I believe that is also cleaning up their year end. Then the Joint Justice Center Fund of 1244, $5,500 in salaries. That is for the salaries for the deputies, the security deputies, to get them through the end of the year. The 1193 contract service.
Can I ask you one question?
Absolutely.
So they work for you, but does that money come direct from the general fund, or is that what funds that coming out of?
That comes out of the 1244,
1244.
so it is money that the general fund provides to that.
To there, and then they pay.
For the the sheriff's office.
Okay, I got it.
So we have deputies in the courthouse.
Okay, I understand, I just had a blank there.
That's okay. The general special projects of 1193, their contract services. I think this one is for a contract. To pay an attorney for pivot services. And then we have a request from the victim assistance grant to transfer out $80,000 so that they can move. They're going to asking for a resolution to transfer money from the 2110 fund, which is the old fund, and they transitioned to a new fund, the 2112. So they're requesting that money be put in their transfer out line. And then the 2112, she is requesting $1,100 additional dollars for other expenses and travel for her cash. She has to, she uses the money that she gets from the grant, and then she uses the cash balance, and that's why they say cash after them, so that she's accumulated money and she's using that money to cover all of her expenses. And then I do have one appropriation adjustment, and it's just for you guys to understand that the sheriff is moving money from his jail salaries to his road salaries in the amount of $20,000, moving again from the jail salaries to the road PERS in the amount of $3,620. And then again, the jail salaries to his, I believe this is road Medicare, on the amount of $290 for a total transfer of $23,910. And that is just to get him through the end of the year. So those are all of the supplemental appropriations that I have. I will move to resolutions. The first one I have is authorizing the fund transfers be made to the VOCA grant of the 2112. It's coming again from her 2110 fund. It's just the cash being moved so that she has it available in the new fund. Authorizing the memorandum of understanding for the housing of Wyandotte County prisoners on behalf of the Seneca County Sheriff's Office. Entering into a contract with Micah Ames, doing business as Ames Excavating on behalf of the county engineer. Authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an addendum for cooperative development agreement with the City of Fostoria and the Board of Trustees of Loudon Township until December 31 of 2023. Authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an addendum to cooperative development agreement with the City of Fostoria and the Board of Trustees of Jackson Township until December 31st, 2023. Authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an addendum to agreement regarding sanitary sewer and water with the City of Fostoria until December 31st, 2023. And entering into contract with Oriana House on behalf of the Common Police Court. I believe this is for their pivot program.
We just received a notice this morning that they were approved for a grant. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
Did you see that? 400 and some thousand? Okay, so I read that right. Okay.
Okay.
Keep going. Yep.
And then I have resolution to rescind the board's order of December 1st, 2022, certifying the annual appropriations for non-general fund for 2023, beginning January 1, 2023, and ending December 31st, 2023. And then I also have a new resolution to for the budget for the annual appropriation for non-general fund, beginning January 1st, 2023, and ending December 31st of 23. That is just simply because there were errors made as far as some funds were missing. Other funds, the account lines were inaccurate, and I just want to make the correction going forward rather than having the department have to do that.
Is that the first mistake you ever made?
No, it is not.
Okay. But you correct
I will own up to that mistake. So that is
All right,
entirely
good.
on me.
Good
So
job. Yeah, no, that's good.
and then I also have some driveway and utility permits. And that's all I have.
Okay, I will move for approval of the new business as presented by Barb.
Second, Commissioner Kirschner.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Kirschner,
Yes.
Commissioner Schuff,
Yes.
Commissioner Paradiso.
Yes. Get that second voice. Yes. Okay, thank you. Public comment. So at this point in our meetings, we open it up to the floor. Anyone that's present, you're free to speak. Would you say
One
this?
question for the sheriff. How's the heat?
Actually, I do got a report of that, if you got a few minutes.
Oh, okay, all right.
Okay, so we'll let the sheriff talk first, okay, Mr. Brightball, and then we'll call on you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
There's
Well, to
sheriff.
answer the question, I believe you were the one that asked about keeping water.
Yes, that was my question.
Okay. The answer is no, they can do it temporarily, but if the temperature goes below freezing, it would freeze the coils and then you have a broken machine. So temporarily, they can do it because the temperature has been above freezing, but you gotta put the glycol in it, which works like your radiator fluid, keeping the temperature when it goes below freezing levels, because it draws in the outside air to function the boiler system.
You
So-
buying that? Are you buying that?
Not really.
That-
That's okay.
That-
I don't-
no,
that's
no,
okay.
I only know enough to get myself in trouble.
Yeah.
So,
So the water has chemicals in it. It doesn't allow the coils to freeze or the machinery to freeze the water that goes through it or whatever. The company says that they cannot do it for 6 months because of the winter. The winter months would freeze it and then you would have no heat back there whatsoever. So you have to put the glycol in it. Now, we did find out it's not gonna be 600 gallons or whatever like that. It's more like 300 something gallons. So that's gonna reduce the cost right there. They started work on it last week. And with all the cleaning and the flushing every day, they came in, they looked at it, everything. It's starting to get a lot clearer. Worked all the way with chemicals from Friday all the way till Monday. There's been no leaks. There's been no problems. We've actually had complaints from the inmates that it's too hot back there now. So the temperatures are working. He's just got to adjust those areas that he had to adjust prior to that to get heat to them. The farther ones out or whatever that are getting the heat that they didn't get in the past or whatever. So they're working the controls to do that. And today or tomorrow will be the final flush, and then putting the glycol in, and then we just wait till the springtime to assess, to turn it off and then figure out what we're gonna do with these 25, 27-year-old commercial boilers at that point. But it seems at this point, we dodged the bullet of having the flushing out, loosening up anything into the coils or into the bowels of it, which would have been a no-no. Everything was caught and we were able to dodge that. So, thank you very
Good
much.
report. I would just say, I don't know the lead times on some of these things. It takes a while.
Yes.
So maybe right after the first of the year, and something of this magnitude, I don't know if we'd bid it or not.
I think that's what Jamie
So
said, and
that's a John,
definitely,
Jamie thing.
yeah,
but-
definitely have to get.
But it's not enough. We're gonna have to put a system in, right?
Unfortunately, that's the
Yeah.
lifespan of it, and it's been
Something we ought to
reduced, you know, with,
Begin the process earlier so we can get
the
it,
maintenance
make
of it.
that system.
yeah, I'm hoping that that's not the final figures of what they are
Yeah.
estimating, but I don't know what commercial, you know, boilers for that large of a areas. When we talking last year about
Those are
the
huge.
commercial washing machines, you know, I think they heard me yell throughout the office when I read the quote on the first quote that we got. We eventually got them in the 20,000, but the first quotes were upwards of 40-something thousand for one washer, commercial washing machine, so.
Okay, anything else?
No,
While you're here, Mr. Radball?
Was this mud caused by lack of maintenance?
correct. What we were told by the company that came in there, that it didn't appear to them, and this was two different companies. The company, when I came into office in last year, that had looked at it, made the recommendation to when it would be turned off in April or May, whenever the temperature came up, to flush out the system, add new glycol at that point. Unfortunately, we didn't get to that. That was part of the capital improvement talks and everything like that. When there's no problems, you don't really do it. We got a new maintenance guy at the first of this year, and then when we turned the boiler system back on, we noticed we had some issues or whatever with Wadsworth coming in there. They recognize the problem. He's been cleaning out the socks. He's been doing everything that he knew what to do, but what it boiled down to is years and years of lack of the maintenance and flushing it out when it's supposed to, and preventive care to it that caused this bacteria to grow up into it, that it's like a modeling clay or whatever, and it's supposed to be free-flowing liquid, like your transmission fluid in your car, or radiator fluid in your car. So,
When you change the glycol or drain it, can you save that from year to year?
if it's clean, yes, from this point forward, if they do that, they can drain it, flush it, and reuse it, but that stuff that was bacteria infected and all the other stuff, they cannot do that one. So it has to be a fresh start. But if the chemicals, from what I was being told by the company, if the chemicals are put in there correctly and maintained throughout the year, you don't have to do another flushing or anything like that. You just turn it off, keep the chemicals balanced throughout the summertime, and turn it back on. So this should be, well, I won't say it's a one-time fix because this machine's gonna go away. They'll drain it and they can use that into the new machine though.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else? Good, Mr. Klein, Adam, you guys good? Okay, thank you, Jimmy. Public?
Yep, got a few people here with us on Zoom. I will make it so you can unmute yourself. If you'd like to come forward and speak, you can do that now.
I should say remote public.
Remote, exactly.
Have the stand
The online viewers, right?
Yeah.
And I don't see anything at this time. So I think we're good.
Okay, so hearing no other comment, we will meet again on the 27th of December. That'll be Commissioner Kirschner's final meeting, so.
Maybe. Well, the 29th.
We do have the 29th as a backup, that's correct, in case we need it, so we're holding that date. I think he wants to have another meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, hearing none, no other comment, meeting adjourned.